Okay, let's unpack this. Picture this. The average salary, right, in the U.S. 2022, it was hovering around, what, $53,000 a year?
Yeah, about that.
Now, contrast that with some of the potential we saw in the sources you shared, earning like $250,000 in a single
A
month.
single month. Yeah.
And not from your typical 9 to 5 job, but through passive income streams. That gap is just, well, it really highlights the power we're talking about, building income that works for you.
It's a striking difference, absolutely. And it points right to the core idea for today's deep dive. We're exploring the potential of having multiple income streams, focusing specifically on these passive income models.
Yeah.
So our mission here is really to guide you through 5 distinct passive income ideas, all drawn from the research, the articles you provided. Ideas that, based on the examples we found, genuinely seem to have the capability, to generate significant earnings. Maybe even that headline grabbing $1,000 in just 24 hours.
Okay, but hold on. Before anyone starts planning their early retirement, the sources hit us with a pretty critical dose of reality right away.
Oh, yeah.
This is not easy. I mean, if making $1,000 a day passively was simple.
Well, like you said, everyone would already be doing it, wouldn't they?
Exactly. The common thread here across all these models is they demand, substantial effort, dedication up front. You've got to set them up.
Precisely. Think of it like planting a garden. You have to prep the soil, sow the seeds, water it. That's the initial heavy lifting.
Makes sense.
But once those plants are mature, they can produce, harvest after harvest with less active work. So we're going to walk you through these 5 concepts. We'll talk about what they are, the kind of income potential, the sources mentioned,
Right.
the effort needed to build them, and definitely highlight specific examples, practical tips we pulled right from the material.
Okay, great. Let's dive into that first idea then. What did the sources have first?
Idea number 1, starting an email newsletter.
Okay. This one sounds kind of simple on the surface, doesn't it?
It does.
Earning money just by sending emails to people who, signed up for your list. But the potential the sources described, it's anything but simple. It's dramatic.
Totally. We saw examples like the Hustle newsletter selling for, what was it, $25, $30 million?
Yeah, something like that. And
Yeah.
Morning Brew even more, $75 million.
$75 million. And there was even a note about individuals earning thousands, just for a quick mention, an ad in their email.
So what makes this one so appealing then, according to the sources?
Well, a big part is the incredibly low barrier to entry. You basically just need like a laptop or even a phone to write the emails.
Right.
And a lot of these email platforms, they let you start and grow to maybe 1,000 subscribers, totally free.
That's a good starting point. And it seems like it's more than just the money or ease of setup. The sources really hammered home the power of newsletters for building like a really dedicated audience.
Yeah, that loyalty factor.
It ties back to that whole 1,000 true fans idea, right? People who really connect with what you do. An email list gives you that direct line.
That ownership piece is crucial. Unlike social media, where the platform and its algorithms kind of control who sees your stuff,
Right. You're at their mercy.
email gives you that direct channel. You own the list, you control the communication. That's rare.
Okay, so how does the money actually work? How do these newsletters generate that kind of cash?
The sources mainly pointed to 2 things. Sponsorships, so brands paying you to feature them,
Gotcha.
and affiliate links. That's where you recommend a product, use a special link, and if someone buys through it, you get a kickback, a commission.
Simple enough. So what's the secret sauce then? How do you make a newsletter successful based on what we read?
Well, a key theme was giving away tons of free value up front, that whole give more than you get idea.
Absolutely. People sign up hoping for value, but they stay because you consistently deliver something that's worth their time.
Exactly. And the sources stressed being interesting, entertaining even.
Yeah, I remember that bit about the super informative but incredibly dull email.
Yeah, nobody read it.
Right. It shows that just having information isn't enough. The delivery, the entertainment value, that's what keeps people hooked.
And you don't always have to be like creating brand new stuff constantly. The sources mentioned curating, just finding cool links, articles, ideas you find during the week.
Like Tim Ferriss's newsletter, 5 Bullet Friday.
Exactly. Millions of subscribers, makes good money, and it's largely curated. The value is in his selection and maybe a bit of commentary.
So you're building trust, a promise that opening your email is, worth it. It reminds me of seeing people build up newsletters pretty fast, like in months,
Yeah.
just by being consistent with value and making it fun. And then brands notice that engaged audience and start offering real money for ads. It really shows the power the sources talked about.
Yeah, that potential for quick growth and monetization definitely makes newsletters a compelling option. Okay, so shifting gears a bit, idea number 2, collecting royalties.
Ah, royalties.
Yeah.
Yeah, this makes you think of musicians, right? That classic example in the sources. Noddy Holder from Slade.
That's the one. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Apparently, it pays him a solid income every single year. Zero current effort needed from him.
It's pretty much the textbook definition of passive income, once the initial work is done anyway, getting paid over and over for something you created once.
And it applies beyond music, right?
Yeah.
Authors, scriptwriters, inventors.
Yeah, even creators of digital stuff. But, and this is a big, but the sources hit on that upfront work. It's often huge.
Right. Creating a hit song, writing a bestseller, inventing something people want. That takes serious time, skill, effort.
And there's that risk factor they mentioned. You could pour all that time in, and crickets, if it doesn't catch on, doesn't find an audience.
So how did the sources suggest dealing with that risk? Making it less of a gamble?
The advice seemed to lean towards finding an existing demand first. Look for a need that isn't being met well, or something that's scarce.
Find a gap.
Exactly. And then create something that improves on what's out there. There was that anecdote in the sources about a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, the finance education one.
Right. They turned on monetization, not necessarily thinking they'd become big YouTubers, but they saw a gap. Not enough easy-to-understand financial info online.
So they were trying to fill that need. And didn't the research mention something about ads maybe helping the algorithm? Or maybe they just heard that?
Could be a factor, yeah. But regardless of the algorithm's specifics, the result was pretty amazing. An early video just took off. 4 million views.
Wow.
And according to the source, it generated over $100,000 in royalties. Just from that one asset, created once, paying out because it hit a nerve, met a need.
That's incredible. And what's really interesting is the sources said you don't even have to be the main creator yourself.
Yeah, you could collaborate, like write scripts for someone who makes videos and you get a cut of the earnings.
Or even more hands-off.
You could invest in royalties. This was fascinating. Creators sometimes need cash up front, so they sell off their future royalty rights.
Yeah, you buy the rights.
Yeah, an investor buys the rights, and then they get the income when the song plays, or the book sells, whatever it is. The research mentioned Mr. Beast using a company called Spotter.
The big YouTuber.
Yeah, and Spotter has apparently spent like $200 million buying up royalties. So it's a real market. You can profit from royalties without creating the original thing at all.
Wild. Okay, moving on. Third passive income idea, selling digital products.
Right. And this one had some pretty eye-popping stories in the source material.
Like the one about the Suns client making, what was it, $2 million in 10 minutes.
$2 million in 10 minutes from their living room selling digital products.
So what exactly are digital products? Things you can't, like, physically touch.
Exactly. Templates, online courses, audiobooks, fancy spreadsheets, software licenses, digital art, music, anything consumed digitally.
And the passive income angle is strong here, I guess.
Oh yeah, incredibly well suited. Because there's no physical inventory, right? Zero storage costs. You can't run out of stock.
Ah, good point. And the profit margins must be high too.
Extremely high, potentially. Most of the cost is that one-time creation effort. After that, almost pure profit minus, platform fees or whatever.
And crucially, no packing boxes, no trips to the post office.
Definitely no shipping logistics. That's a huge win for passive income.
But the sources mentioned a downside, didn't they? Something about the market.
Yeah, a bit of a nuance. Demand is high, definitely. But because it's easy to try and sell digital stuff, the market's also kind of flooded with low-quality things.
Gives it a bad name sometimes.
Right. So the sources really stress, you've got to create something genuinely valuable, something that actually solves a problem or helps people significantly.
Makes sense. Did they suggest the strategy for that?
They mentioned the scrappy launch idea, get a basic version out quickly, minimum viable product, they call it.
Test the waters.
Yeah, see if people are interested, get feedback, and then improve it based on what real customers say.
That seems smart. It does bring up that upfront work point again, though.
For sure. While the sales part is passive after you create it, the sources were clear. Making a really good digital product, like a detailed online course, that takes serious time and energy.
Yeah, the source mentioned that perspective, trying to build a quality course while running other businesses, is a major commitment. The passive income is from the asset, but building it,
Yeah.
not passive at all.
Exactly. Okay, number 4. This is about being the middleman. So concepts like drop shipping and drop servicing.
Right, the middleman. This one had that crazy story too, didn't it? Someone making $10 million by age 21.
10 million. Selling stuff online, but never actually, touching the products themselves.
Wild. Contrast that with traditional online selling. Warehouses, stock, staff packing orders.
Shipping materials, returns.
Yeah,
Huge costs and time sinks.
and the sources pointed out how massive online businesses become, right?
Yeah.
Especially since the pandemic. Trillions of dollars.
Yeah, projected over $5 trillion globally by the end of 2022. Just a massive amount of buying and selling happening online.
So being the middleman is a way to get a piece of that action without the inventory headaches.
Exactly. Or even without doing the actual service work yourself.
Okay, break it down. How does drop shipping work for physical products?
So you find a supplier, someone who has products people want. Then you build an online store, could be Shopify, whatever, showing off those products.
Your storefront.
Right. Customer orders from your store, pays you. You then take that order, place it with the supplier, pay them, and they ship it directly to the customer.
So you handle the marketing, the sale, the customer interaction, but not the physical product.
Precisely. You're the connection point.
And drop servicing is the same idea, but for services.
Yep. Find a client who needs something, say, a logo designed. Then you find a freelancer or an agency who can do the design work.
Okay.
You tell the designer what the client wants. They do the work. You deliver it to the client. And you charge the client more than you paid the designer.
So your value add is finding the client and managing the process.
Yeah.
Your marketing and sales skills again.
Exactly. The source gave that simple example. Buy from the supplier for $5. Sell to the customer for $20. That's $15 gross profit before you factor in ads or other costs.
And I guess you could scale this up.
Yeah, the sources mentioned that. Once you have the system down, you can add more products, more services, find more suppliers. That $1,000 a day target becomes achievable through volume.
Interesting model. Okay, finally, the 5th passive income idea from the sources. Launching a membership.
Right. This is about creating some kind of community or maybe a hub for content where members pay a regular fee, usually monthly, to get access.
And the potential income here sounded, well, astronomical in the examples.
Seriously staggering. They mentioned Andrew Tate having, 108,000 members paying $49 a month?
Yeah, do the math. That's over $5.3 million.
A month. $5.3 million a month. And then the Sidemen, the YouTube group, their Sidemen Plus thing, charging around $10 a month, apparently making millions. It gives them this really reliable passive income stream.
That seems to be the key benefit highlighted, right? The predictability.
Exactly. As long as you keep providing value so members stick around, you've got this consistent cash flow coming in every month. That's incredibly powerful for, financial stability.
And it scales really well, too, I imagine.
Immensely scalable. There's usually no real limit on how many members you can have. Adding more members doesn't normally mean a huge increase in your workload proportionally.
So the passive potential gets higher as it grows.
Right, once you've got the community vibe and the content rhythm figured out.
But you need something to offer, obviously.
Of course. You need a niche, some expertise, something people are willing to pay for access to, whether it's exclusive content, community interaction, special resources.
You need to provide real value.
Yeah.
And the sources mentioned using platforms people already know.
Yeah, like Facebook groups or Discord servers. Hosting it where your audience is already comfortable makes it easier for them to join and participate.
Lowers the barrier.
Yeah.
And they mentioned specific niches doing well.
Yeah, examples like golf, swimming, business, cooking, areas where memberships are apparently smashing it, easily hitting that 1,000 a day mark and beyond.
Okay, so that's 5 pretty distinct paths, all with the potential, according to the sources, for significant passive income. Maybe even at $1,000 in 24 hours level, based on those examples.
We've covered email newsletters,
Right. Royalties either making stuff or buying rights,
selling digital products with those high margins.
being the middleman dropshipping or servicing.
And finally, launching a membership for that predictable income.
So as we kind of wrap this up, it feels important to circle back to that first warning.
Yeah, the reality check.
The potential for big passive income, it seems very real based on these examples. But actually getting there, setting these things up, the sources were crystal clear. It takes real work up front, consistent effort in the beginning.
Absolutely. You're building an asset, building a system. It's not, finding some magic get-rich-quick button.
No such thing. It's putting in the grind first to create something that can hopefully pay you back over time.
So thinking about these 5 different models we pulled from the sources, What stands out most to you? Which of these sparks your curiosity, maybe aligns with skills you already have or interests you want to explore?
Yeah, it's a pretty diverse mix, isn't it? From actually creating things to curating to investing in other people's work or just connecting buyers and sellers. Lots of different angles.
It is. And, this discussion, especially looking at the examples, it raises kind of a final thought-provoking question for you to chew on, building on what we've talked about.
Okay.
The sources showed success coming from creating something totally new, right? Like that hit YouTube video or building a newsletter from scratch.
Yeah, the creator path.
But they also showed ways to benefit massively without being the primary creator, like buying those royalties or being the drop shipping middleman.
Right, the facilitator or investor path.
So, considering those different routes, which do you think is ultimately more valuable in the long run? Is it the tangible asset you create? Or is it the skill you apply, the marketing, the curation, the community building, that ability to connect demand with supply? Something to think about as you consider your own path.